Hi everybody, I'm Gina. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to have you here to help prepare you for your shopping exam. You have nothing to worry about, you really don't. We didn't get any questions coming in, but luckily I did the exam again over the weekend, especially so I could understand exactly what I needed to take you through and exactly what any sort of points of difficulty were or things I thought I needed to highlight. And I've borne all of that in mind and put together today's presentation based on those learnings. So you're getting hot off the press insight. Yes, you can thank me later. It's okay. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now and jump straight into the presentation. Drop your answers in. We're going to jump into the live chat session at the end. So if you have any questions then, I'll be able to answer them. Don't panic if I don't get to answer them in this huddle. I'll be hanging around for a little while to answer them afterwards on the event page. Okay, great. Without further ado, let's jump in. If I look a bit strange right now, it's because I'm driving around my computer, getting to my presentation. So I've just got to jump into screen share. Rory's very kindly helped me out with this from a facilitation perspective. So we're all good, we're sharing, and let me jump into my presentation and present mode, and away we go. Great. So just before we kick off with this, I just wanted to highlight the fact that there are brilliant study materials online. There's a fantastic refresher pack, there are a few presentations to review, there's another video on this. Have a look at all of those resources because all the answers that you need for this test are there in these brilliant resources that we have. Great. So in terms of our table of contents, we're going to be doing a recap on Google Shopping and Shopping Ads. Hopefully you know what these are by now. The Merchant Center, and here I'm going to flag some top tips on bits and bobs of information that you need to include here to make sure your Merchant Center is set up and running, in line with policies, and critically making sure that your data feed is well managed in that place. We're then going to look at the real meat of this presentation, which is creating and managing your campaigns and AdWords, and then on to the nitty-gritty of the exam. And again, as I've said, nothing to panic about. We've got everything here today, so you're well equipped. Great, let's get on with it. So what is Google and what are shopping ads? So Google Shopping allows advertisers to showcase their different products online and drive customers to purchase. So why are they so effective and why are they so useful? They give you a lot more traffic. Many businesses experience significantly higher click-through rates because of their product listing ads as opposed to text ads. It's because you have better qualified leads. You see, the increased quality of your leads by featuring product information gives your shoppers a much better idea of what you're actually selling. So they're more likely to click through and then complete their purchase on your website. As we can see in this visual here, we've got some great information there. Good quality image, some good information, descriptive with brand and title, price, and even some reviews and customer ratings there to really encourage that purchase. Another great benefit of shopping is that it's a really easy retail-centric campaign management that it offers you. Instead of keywords, you use product listing ads and product attributes that you've defined in your Google Merchant Center and your data feed show your ads through the relevant searches that customers, users will be typing in. You can also achieve broader presence, so more than one of your product listing ads can appear for any given search. And this means that you reach shoppers, that your reach in terms of your shoppers could actually double. So I'm sure that you can agree that this is a really, really effective tool to be used for any marketing. Finally, and most fundamentally, it also gives you really powerful reporting and competitive data. So you can see how your products are performing at any level of granularity. Sorry, I'm getting excited, you see, so I then run over my words. At any level of granularity. And we're going to look at this into later on in the presentation, where we understand different ways of organizing our campaigns so we can then monitor them and prioritize based on the best performing campaigns. Okay. So, how does it all work? Product listing ads use product data, not keywords. This is how shopping fundamentally differs from keyword advertising, PPC. And that's entered into your Google Merchant Center account. Okay, so your Google Merchant Center account is separate and distinct from your AdWords. However, You then manage your product listing ads in AdWords using shopping campaigns. And I'll be showing you some screenshots exactly of how to do this later on, so no need to panic. Similar to search or pay-per-click, your product listing ads then participate in an ad auction where you place bids and your advert is presented, shown based on the bids that you've placed. You then manage and optimize your campaigns to deliver the greatest ROI for your business and for your campaign. So Google Shopping is available in various countries around the world, and shopping ads are available in various countries. You need to make sure that all of the information that you provide is relevant to that country and local language. I'm actually going to stop on that there and go into more detail on that when we look at the product feed and getting that information correct. Okay, so now that we've understood what Google Shopping is and how and where to use it and the benefits it can bring to your business, we're going to look at the Merchant Center, understanding that Merchant Center and fundamentally how to set it up. There are 4 key simple steps. 1, you set up your account. You add your business information. So here you need to make sure that you only submit one domain to submit one set of items, unless you have a multi-client account. If you want to manage multiple different accounts, you need to set up your MCA. Okay. You can also then enter your business information, customer service information, and critically, private contact information. You need to have these fields filled in, so if anything goes wrong, you're contactable. You also need to make sure that your site meets all of Google's requirements. Accurate contact information, a secure checkout process, clear returns policy, billing terms and conditions, and of course, a complete checkout process. Finally, you need to verify and claim your website URL. A couple of things to note here. Do some investigation and some reading around verifying and claiming your website URLs. There can be old ones that need to be claimed and new ones, and you need to make sure you understand exactly how to do that. It's quite a simple process of placing code onto your website that then verifies that, but you need to have the right admin rights at the right level to make sure that you can claim that URL. Okay, just a few notes here in terms of the Google Merchant Center. They will contact you on any account warnings through your technical contact details. Okay, these are a few top tips that you need to remember. And also, as I've mentioned, it's your multiple client account that allows you to manage multiple domains with a single sign-in. So for those of you in agency world, this is absolutely critical. This is very similar to the setup for AdWords account manager accounts. Okay. So now we're going to look at navigating the Merchant Center. So I've just done a screenshot here showing you down the left the different areas of the Merchant Center. So the dashboard shows you an overview of your account. It gives you a product overview, the products that you have active for any specified destination, your feeds, a list of your most recently updated feeds, your performance. So this shows you very top level clicks of your shopping campaign settings. Please note, this isn't where you monitor and optimize your campaigns. You do that in AdWords. Okay. You also put in your general settings and information that we spoke about earlier, your company name, website, contact information, and display settings here. You also verify your website in the Google Merchant Center. There are a few other bits and pieces here. FTP, setting up your FTP username and password here. If you use FTP as a means to submit your data feed, or Google Cloud Storage, again, you can submit your product data feed through Google Cloud Storage. What I want to highlight here is the AdWords tab. This is where you need to link your Google Merchant Center account to AdWords, and this is where you do it. It's also important to bear in mind tax and make sure that you have your tax settings correct for where you're based and where you're using your shopping ads, as well as delivery and users. Who is accessing your account? How many users you have on that account? Another thing to remember here, which you've just lost off the page, is your e-commerce settings and any trusted stores, any partners and affiliates through which you sell. Okay, so all of that is set up and managed in the Google Center. It's also where you upload your data feed. Now, this is the thing that causes my clients the greatest headache and frustration. People get very anxious about their data feed. What's important to remember is that Google's whole reason for being is to provide customers, users, the most relevant, up-to-date information as quickly as possible. It's your product feed, and a really high-quality product feed, that enables them to do this. Okay, so you need to use either a text, tab delimited, or XML file format, and there's a list there of the different file extensions you can use. Another top tip, remember that list and remember those different formats. Your feed's going to contain information such as your target country, so where your products are going to be sold, your product names, your product groups, prices, and any other information. We're going to go over this in a lot more detail in the next few slides. And this slide shows only an example of a section of your feed. When creating your data feed, it's really, really important that the information in your feed needs to match the information on your landing page. Okay, so price, availability, shipping, language, etc. If it doesn't, your products can be disapproved. Your account may even be suspended. Top tip, remember those things. You also need to update your feed a minimum of every 30 days. So what's best practice here is to understand how quickly and frequently your inventory is updated, and then make sure that your product feed is as fresh as possible in line with that. So if your inventory is updated on your e-commerce site every 12 hours, then send a new data feed every 12 hours. Again, this fundamentally comes down to that point of Google wanting to provide the right information at the right time. Make sure that your product feed is really, really high quality. Top tip, another final thing to remember is if your landing page leads to errors or doesn't actually exist, so that's when people click on your shopping ad and they get to a page that's a 404 error, or it's the wrong page, again, your account could be suspended. So it's really, really important that you get this information right. And things aren't being suspended because we're unfairly wanting to penalize you, but it's really fundamental to having a high quality campaign and making the tool as effective for you from a marketing perspective as is possible. Okay, so we're going to look into data feed requirements. I'm just going to have a sip of water. Give me a second. So there are a lot of different attributes that are required for your product data feed, okay, and some others that are recommended. These also change dependent on the types of products you have. We're going to go over some of them now. It's a really, really good idea for you, though, to go and have a look in the Merchant Center, in the Help Center, and there's a brilliant article there that looks at product data feed requirements. So, as ever, just type that into Google and have a read of that article and really, really get your head around exactly what these are, these attributes, why they're required, what's optional, why it's optional. But fundamentally, remember that the more information you provide, the better your ads are going to perform. It's also important to remember, top tip, that not meeting specific requirements of the data feed can result in your account being suspended. In order to avoid this, you can submit a test feed for uploading your final feed. So let's have a look into these product attributes in more detail. All products require the following key attributes, which are ID, the product ID, the unique identifier, the title of the product, a brief description. Also remember here for this description, this can't have empty sales messages like buy now, buy now, buy now. Quality descriptive text that describes the product that you're selling. It needs to provide the Google product category, a link to the URL, an image, condition, availability, price, and tax information. Okay. If your product falls into multiple categories, choose one that you feel it fits into best. Also, if you don't have an image, you're going to have to wait until you get one. And when you do, make sure that it's a really good quality, clean, clear, high resolution image. Remember those sneakers that we looked at on the first page? That's a really good example. Pricing and availability. Oh, I need to change the next slide. There we go. Obviously, you need to include your prices and availability of your product, so if it's in stock or not. This is also where you enter your sale prices, okay, and also the duration of your sale. So when it starts and when it ends, so that it'll automatically stop saying products for sale when it's not, okay. Another thing I want to point out to you here is your unique product identifiers. So you've got brand, you've got GTIN, and MPN. So GTIN is essentially your barcode number. It's the unique product code that every single product in the world will have, unless, of course, it's used or it's a vintage good, so it wouldn't have this information. If it isn't available, doesn't exist, you then need to put false in the identifier exists column. Okay, so you can see that at the bottom there. So your MPN is a manufacturer's product number. Some products will have this, others won't. If you can get it, use it, because it just gives more information. So if somebody were to ever type in this specific MPN, they'd find your product quickly and easily. I had a very frustrating experience a while ago where I was trying to look for a type of battery, and it was this very specific size of battery, and there were all these different codes all over the battery. And I typed these and I thought, you know, how much more accurate could you get from a search term perspective? I typed in these codes. Honestly, none of them even produced batteries. So this is just an example of, you know, shopping being an excellent tool to deliver customers exactly those products that they want. And your identifiers, your different attributes and that information you provide, really homing into that specific product. Your unique product identifiers are what do that. You always have to have at least 2 of the 3. Okay, so brand and GTIN as an absolute minimum. If you can get MPN, get that as well. Okay. The detailed product attributes page allows you to designate things like size, color, gender, and age group. So you'll get this for a lot of apparel, shoes, etc. And this is where you enter all of this information so that you've got full, accurate, up-to-date data. Also, Google is a family-friendly business, so if there are adult products that you're selling, you need to note this as well. Okay, and if you don't, again, your account will be suspended. As I've mentioned throughout this data feed section, it's really important to remember high quality data. This is what is going to make your campaign a success. This is what's going to deliver you the ROI. This is what's going to make your data feed test be accepted and your campaigns run effectively. So remember, quality, fresh, accurate, comprehensive product data. You need to provide everything that's required and as much of the desirable attributes as is possible. Okay? And I've just said that. You also need to make sure that all of your products are submitted to meet Google's policies. So this is what we're talking about in terms of, so language, for example. If your ad is in one language and page that you click through to is in another language, then your account's going to be suspended. If you haven't got the correct contact information, if you haven't got the correct data, if you haven't got the required unique identifiers, all of those, have a read in detail of the shopping policies. Also remember that they're going to be variants for different countries. Switzerland, Japan, they've got different idiosyncrasies in terms of the data that you need to provide. So make sure that you swat up on that. And when you're running your own campaigns, you include that information. Fundamentally, the more information Google has on your products, the better we're able to serve our users and send them to our website, to your website, sorry. So again, it comes down to that whole raison d'etre of Google to provide the best quality information as quickly and relevantly as possible to the audience that is searching for it. Okay. Great. So just to recap, we've looked at shopping, shopping ads, what they are, how they work, setting up your Merchant Center account, setting up your data feed. Remember to go and have a read of that data feed information. Remember your different product attributes, the required attributes, the desired attributes, your unique product identifiers. So make sure that all of that is crystal clear in your heads. Contact details, your website URL verification, those are the fundamental things to SWOT into in your setting up your ad campaigns and your Merchant Center, as well as the data feed. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at actually creating and managing your shopping campaigns. And as mentioned before, we do this in AdWords. Okay, so you need to link your AdWords account to your Google Merchant Center account. And make a request to the Merchant Center which approves the request in AdWords. Okay, so you've got to set the two accounts up separately, and then you've got to get them talking to each other and have that approved. You need to make sure that the content of your shopping campaigns and your shopping ads comply with those shopping policies. So we've spoken about this before with regards to landing pages, error pages, attributes, data feeds, all of that. Remember that these are different from your AdWords advertising policies. Again, make sure your product data feed is updated at least every 30 days. And again, your verified URL. Okay, I know I'm saying these things again. There's a reason. Cool. So to set up a new campaign, you open a new campaign, you select shopping. You can also import settings from other shopping campaigns, and this is really good if you're duplicating success from one campaign to another. So that's a great way to be able to do it, so you don't have to set the whole thing up all over again. The merchant identifier then connects your Google Merchant Center account to the campaign. Okay, and below that you select your country of sale. So this is really, really important that you do this and that your feed matches the requirements for this country, as well as your landing pages. All right. So now there are various ways of managing a shopping campaign with product groups. So you can use 6 different attributes from your data feed to create product groups. Okay. Product type, and you can use your own product categorization system if you don't want to use Google's. Category, and here you can use the Google taxonomy to do this. So the product group is a subset of the inventory defined by the advertiser, okay? And all products within that product group use the same bid. You can use any 6 attributes from your data feed to create product groups, and you can use AdWords to manage ad group bids. Your ID can also give you a really small number of products that you want to bid on separately. So for instance, here we're talking about road bikes. So you can break it right down to the granular level of choosing exactly which bikes you want to bid on with separate bids, because you know they're going to get the greatest traffic. Okay. Condition is another way to separate out your product groups and divide them out so that you can then optimize and manage campaign performance of each of those. And finally, custom labels. So custom labels are really, really useful. You can set seasonal, holiday, bestseller, margin. These are going to be only seen by you internally, but it really gives you an effective way of breaking down your campaign. So I wanted to say something here about product groups. This is the fundamental concept to grasp with shopping, okay? So your data feed is going to load all of your inventory in together. What product groups fundamentally gives you is the ability to manage your bids, okay? So here it's about segmenting your entire product range into manageable lots so that you can then bid on those lots at that more granular level. That product group, bid on that product group, okay? If you don't, then you haven't got the ability to manage, drive, and optimize your campaign, okay? Another thing to sort of think about with product groups is that it's the process of optimization, you know. So you can, for instance, start a campaign and organize products into what you feel is a good product group. And then within that, run the campaign for a little while. And you can start seeing certain things are getting click-throughs. And you can then segment and drill down in more and more and more detail. This is really where you then get the ability to drive the return on your investment, manage your bids really, really closely, manage your budgets, and effectively manage the performance of your campaign. So I mentioned custom labels just now, and this is another way of one of those 6 methods grouping your different products, okay? So it's absolutely ideal for grouping your key performance indicators, things like conversion rate, inventory, seasonality, best sellers, high margin, low margin. So you can assign up to 5 labels, and you can start defining how you'll use each of these labels by mapping possible values. And again, remember that none of your customers can see any of these, obviously. So it's a really good tool for you to monitor and assess specific things that you want to. This gives you that ultimate sort of customizability of your campaign to really drive things that you want to push. So I recently ran a campaign for somebody who was selling leggings, and they just had their new spring collection come in. So we did the spring collection. We had flash sales, so we did that. We also then created product groups of their best sellers so that we could really, really drive that through. What else we did is look at the stock that we wanted to shift quickly because we were bringing in the new season. So we sort of created a custom label for stock to shift and then prioritize based on that. Again, holiday is something where you can choose to promote those ads based on that period, okay? So this is your tool to really influence as much control as you can over separating out your full product offering. The one thing I will remind you of here as well is that it's also, so say you've got your overall product group, okay, and then you choose these different segments that you want to put everything into. There may be products that don't fit into a product group comfortably or don't fit into a segment, but you still want to promote them. You don't want to put massive budget behind, but you also want to advertise them online. What you need to do then is put them into an everything else product group, okay? And make sure that you bid more than 0 on this product group, because otherwise they won't show. So has everyone got that, okay? You have your entire product group loaded in through your data feed. You then segment that down into separate product groups. Sorry, you have all products loaded through your data feed. I need to get my semantics right. Then you separate that into your different product groups. And it's those product groups that you then use to manage your campaign and place your bids on within AdWords, okay? So campaign priority is another really good way of managing your different campaigns, okay? And where campaign priority is really, really effective is determining which campaign you'd like to participate in the auction. So if you've got 2 campaigns running at the same time, you choose which one you want to prioritize. And by default, your campaigns are set at low priority, but that can be changed to medium or high. So priorities determine the bid for any product that multiple clients share, okay? And the highest priority campaign is the one that will run first. sorry, I'm getting muddled with my words here. Let me just say this again. So you've got your different campaigns. They're all set at low. It's to promote the same products. You want to promote one over the other, so you up the campaign priority on that. Okay. The highest bid will then be used until it runs out of budget, and then the lower priority campaign will come in. Okay. So we've looked at the different ways to segment your product feed into those different groups, into those different product ad groups. We've looked at custom labels that really give you the ability to use your own key performance indicators, for example, seasonality, holidays, etc., to categorize different products. Now we're going to look in more detail at monitoring and optimizing your campaign. Really understand this for your exam, okay, because this comes into the bit about how you get the greatest ROI on your campaign. And this slide is a really good snapshot of all the different things that you do to monitor and manage that campaign, okay? So obviously, as with any marketing and advertising, budget, you can change your budget. So if you've got a campaign that's really, really profitable and it's hitting its daily budget at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the obvious thing there is to increase your budget on it, because if you've set your cost per click at the right level and you're getting the traffic and you're getting those conversions, you're making money on that campaign. It's delivering traffic and it's delivering conversions, okay? Equally, if you have a campaign that really isn't performing and it's not profitable for you, but it's using up the budget, then decrease that. Look at how the performance is across those different ad groups and base it on that. Mobile bid adjustments. So this is looking at where the traffic is coming from. You know, are people searching from a mobile device? Are they searching from a desktop? Are they searching from a tablet? Some people will be shopping for different products, from different devices. You know, they might be on their commute and they might quickly decide to purchase something then. They might be on their commute, not buy it then, get into the office, have their lunch break and choose to buy it then. Look at where that traffic is coming from. Look at what's happening with that customer journey. Look at when they're converting and where they've done that from, and then optimize based on that. Similarly, you can look at different locations. And this is brilliant because with locations, you can drill right down. So you obviously have your campaign running in a country, but you can then drill down to far deeper levels of granularity, right down to sort of tight regional locations to see exactly where that traffic's coming from. So, for instance, with this leggings campaign, we looked at it for the UK, and then we could see by drilling down into cities that we had a huge amount of sales coming from Edinburgh and London. So we optimized against those criteria. Then we further drilled down into London, and we could see that, in fact, we should actually be prioritizing to the northwest because that's where the greatest volume of sales are coming from. So we really tweaked and optimized the campaign to deliver the greatest return. And just another point here on sort of monitoring and optimizing campaigns. You know, people always say, how often should I do it? And it really depends on how tight your budget is, how much control you need over that campaign, how much traffic you're getting to that site, because obviously the data, or how much traffic gives you the data to see what's actually happening. So when you're starting off, every sort of 3 or so days is a really good base level in terms of monitoring that campaign. Once you've been running it for a few weeks, you'll have a far greater idea of how to optimize that campaign, where you need to change those bids, what you need to adjust them to. So you'll get more and more intelligent as you go along. You know, don't expect to get it absolutely perfect within the first week. That's not how it works. It's about setting up the principles of your campaign really, really effectively, making sure that you've got that highest quality data feed that you can, having sensible and organized segments in your different product ad groups, and then really delving into it and playing a little bit and seeing what's going to work, what's converting, what's delivering value, and optimizing to that. Dialing the stuff up that works really well and dialing the stuff down that doesn't work very well. Again, I got quite excited there. Let's carry on with the different ways to optimize. Scheduling. So scheduling is a really, really powerful tool as well, similar to mobile, location, ad scheduling, and you can do all of these. So you can look at times of day when things are converting and the days of the week. So for instance, I was saying, somebody searching for something when they're on their commute. This leggings campaign, Sunday morning was our very best time. You can imagine people there have looked at, I don't know, they're sitting in bed Sunday morning, reading the paper, looking at the health section in The Guardian, and then have remembered that they've seen something, an ad earlier in the week when they were browsing for leggings, and they go online to their mobile phone and they go and buy their leggings on that Sunday morning. So drilling down into detail to see when your ads are getting the greatest traction. And I mean traction in terms of actual conversion. You don't want people just clicking on a net and then not buying. So what are the times that your ad works most effectively to actually deliver sales and deliver real results? And then you can optimize to that equally, decreasing or excluding low return times. If nobody's going to be shopping between 6 p.m. and, well, that's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but between sort of 9 p.m. and 9 a.m., turn it off, unless it's a global campaign and you're running in different countries. These are all the things that you need to be monitoring and managing. Similar to AdWords, negative keywords. So adding in any irrelevant terms that you don't want to be shown for. So that's a really good way of just switching off certain traffic. If you're being found for things that really aren't relevant, so you've got a high bounce, then include those so that you aren't found for those as negative keywords. Sorry, I was thinking adjusting bids, adjusting budgets. So adjusting your bids. So now this is really, you get the ability to do this once you've got your different product groups, okay? And you can look at how those product groups are performing. And as I said earlier, if you've got a reasonable bid and your campaign is performing really, really well, but you're convinced that it could be performing better, then you increase the bid for those profitable product groups because you're prepared to pay a little bit more because you're getting a good conversion and you're getting good quality traffic for it. Equally, decreasing or excluding non-profitable product groups. So, if you run a campaign and you set a certain bid for it, and that's what you're prepared to pay for it, but it's really not performing, you don't want to keep spending that money. If it's not going to lead to clicks, it's not going to lead to conversions, then drop it down to a level that you're happy to say, okay, well, I'll pay X to make that sale. Or if it's nothing at all, then eliminate it altogether. So this is what I was speaking about earlier, segmenting your product groups. So this is when you can then look at how different product groups sort of are performing and drill down into them in even more detail. So your product ID here, for example, if you're wanting to sell that specific bicycle, or brands. I was talking to a colleague who was recently running a campaign for selling different T-shirts, and they're T-shirts that are sort of from the movies and featuring characters from movies. And they've run specific product groups on Big Lebowski T-shirts because their Big Lebowski T-shirts were such big sellers. So you can get really, really granular and drill down into things that are performing to the best level possible. And then obviously monitoring and managing those bids on things that you want to perform better. So saying, okay, on this T-shirt, for instance, I'm going to raise my bid because it's going to convert and we're going to get the ROI from selling it at this price. And of course, the applying the custom labels. Again, these your customers can't see, you can only see these. And it's a really easy way to manage different products, seasonal products, ROI, sale, summer, holiday, for sort of Mother's Day, Father's Day, any promotions you have, any high margin, low margin. Applying those custom labels, we'll put those into a product group and allow you to optimize against them. So for instance, if you've got your sort of segmented out product group and the whole campaign or that product group is going okay, but it's not doing brilliantly, you can then sort of look at that and analyze it in more detail and say, okay, let's apply some custom labels in here to divide this product group up into smaller subsets so we can then optimize based on those different subsets. All right. So there's quite a lot in there. The best resource for this is in the refresher guide. There's a really good thorough study pack, and you can have a read through that, and it's got all of this information in more detail. You can also, these two slides are also a really good menu, if you will, of the different things that you can do. So this list is your list of what you do to optimize your campaign. So learn these different things, learn how you would do them, how you would change them. Think of some scenarios of if your campaign is doing X, what would you do to optimize that? How would you change it? Would you up your bid? Would you change your budget? Would you change your locations or the device from which it's coming? Would you schedule things at different times? Are there keywords you need to take out? So these are all the different tools that are at your disposal to home in on those product groups and optimize based on that, or look to segment them even further to then give you the ability to monitor and manage your campaign to the best return. Okay. Another really, really good tool for monitoring and managing a campaign is the bid simulator. Okay, so you can only use the bid simulator, as with any data, once your campaign's been running for a while, okay, because otherwise it obviously hasn't got enough information to generate the different bid levels and projected clicks, costs, and impressions off of. So essentially what the bid simulator does is that it collects and analyzes data from ad auctions that you've run over the previous 7 days. And it considers information such as the quality of your ads, your competitors' bids, and the product data that you've provided. Okay? It then uses this information to estimate how certain changes to a bid would have impacted on clicks. Okay, so the thing to remember here is sort of ceteris paribus concept of if you carry on running the campaign the same. The first thing to look at is if your campaign isn't performing really well, making sure, well, have I got the best quality data feed? Have I got the best descriptions? Am I bidding at the right price? Have I got great images? You know, because you can run a campaign and then you can use the bid simulator and say, well, you should pay X. But if you've not got a great quality campaign, it doesn't make sense to look at upping your bid or adjusting your bid if you haven't got the fundamentals of your data and your product feed right. Okay, so make sure that that is working to the optimum ability. Make sure you've got really good product groups. And then once you've got those running, the bid simulator can then be a really effective tool. Okay. So what it fundamentally does is collect all this information, and then it simulates what a different bid would have delivered in terms of clicks, cost, impressions, and conversions. And you can bring anything in here that you want to, so that you can really understand if you increased your bid to X or Y, what the likely result would be off the back of it. Okay, so it can really help you clarify the different product group bids and understand how they could affect traffic and what could happen if you set different bids. So when you're looking to optimize your campaign, you're having to make some difficult decisions and saying, well, that's performing okay, this is performing really well. This is a really, really good tool to use so that you can help gauge the potential performance for your different product groups or groups within the different subdivisions. Okay. And again, top tip, remember that it's got to have been running. Your campaign has to have been running for long enough and included in enough auctions or accrued enough impressions and faced enough comparable products so that you can actually then simulate and provide some projections of what those different bid levels could be. Okay. So we're going to run over the best practices now. I've mentioned a lot of them throughout today's presentation, but I'm just going to highlight these now. And this obviously prepares you for your exam, but As with AdWords, shopping is actually a pretty simple concept if you get the fundamentals right and you focus on providing good quality information and data to allow Google to best present your ads and fundamentally to give your users the very best experience possible. So looking at the screenshot here, where this ad of Converse, for instance, I can very, very clearly see those different sneakers, those different products, and click through to something that I actually want. So that high quality, high conversion potential lead. Okay. So make sure that you organize your campaign based on your specific goals. Create campaigns promoting your best-selling products or another subset. Make sure that all of your products are covered. So we spoke earlier about including all of your products in that feed, but then breaking them down into those different product groups. Okay, so segmenting them based on reasonable variables, clump them together into groups. Okay, so for instance, if you're a shoe shop, you're not going to put high heels and trainers into the same product group. You're going to separate them out into different product groups. Okay. And then you'll be able to manage and monitor and bid based on those different product groups. For everything that doesn't fit into a product group, I can't quite think of a shoe example right now, but that will then be in the everything else. Okay, make sure that you set a minimum bid or an average bid of the different product groups on that everything else category so that you're still driving traffic to those products and to those ads, because if you don't set a bid level, those ads aren't going to be shown. Okay, so they're making sure that all your products are covered is really important. The quality of your ad, using good calls to action and promotional text to highlight deals and unique selling propositions. Why is your product better? Why is it different? Not buy, not now, but Converse, $35 from 10 plus stores and 5 stars. Gives you a rating by 609 people and a lovely product shop there. So if I'm after red Converse, I can see that if that's what I want, I'm likely to click on that ad. Okay. And using good calls to action, that comes in, if you're running a promotion, that's where a good call to action comes in, all right? Getting people to click through, but with reasonable, valuable information. You can say sale now on, but not sale now, get it while it lasts, buy now, click now. Don't oversell, but you can promote your product with descriptors to encourage click-throughs. It's all about giving the user the best experience that you possibly can. To increase conversions, bid on the product groups with the low conversion and less on the high cost per conversion. So this is fundamental optimization that we went over in the previous few slides. Also make sure that you're including all of the attributes that you can. So the really, really good quality attributes, the required attributes, but then also the attributes that are desirable attributes. So make sure that you have those included as well. Okay, now we're going to look at taking the exam. So your exam is going to be 90 minutes in total. Okay, you have 90 minutes to do the exam, and you've got 63 questions to answer. And you need an 80% score in order to pass the exam. In order to take the exam, I'm sure you're all very, very familiar by now with the Google Partner page and all the wonderful resources up there. And that's where you go to find all of the resources, study everything through, and then obviously click on the button to take your exam. There are also fantastic resources in the AdWords Help Center, and this will give you detailed information on everything. So SWOT up on this to look at your Google shopping policies that I mentioned earlier, your merchant center, setting up your merchant center, all the different things there about verifying your account, about your landing pages, about your languages, about different country requirements. All of that is in that AdWords Help Center. There's policies, procedures, requirements, everything is in there, okay? Also, review the shopping study guide. It's a really, really good, thorough resource that gives you the information and an overview of everything that you need in order to pass this exam. There's also a brilliant refresher guide up there that summarizes everything really nicely for you, and is a great form of bedtime reading to catch up on everything. Obviously, remember that to become certified, you need to pass two. So you need to pass a search exam and then one other. So if you've done your search exam and now you're doing this, you will officially be certified after passing this exam. So that's something to look forward to. And I was going to say one other thing to you. What was that? Yeah, I mean, everything in the test, if you've gone through the notes, there's nothing, there are no red herrings, there's nothing that's hugely confusing. There are no sort of massively sort of conceptual questions. You need to have done your prep. You need to have planned and reviewed things rigorously. You need to understand the concepts. You need to understand the granular detail within those different concepts, so the requirements, the different attributes, what is needed, what isn't, how and when can the bid simulator work, different ways of optimizing, bids, budgets, times, devices, all of that nitty-gritty. You do need to have delved down to that level to have that information to hand so that you can answer questions. But there's nothing in there that sort of flag major alarm bells for me to talk to you about today. So I hope that has given you a good summary of everything that is going to be coming up in the exam. We've got a few minutes left, so we're now going to jump into some Q&A. Post your questions. If I don't get to it, don't worry, I'll be hanging out in the event space so that I can answer those afterwards. So give me a moment while I just jump into the event space, and I'll be having some questions coming through here. No questions quite yet? I'm sure there's got to be one. Nothing? It doesn't seem we have any questions coming through. Don't worry if you still need some time to answer or send anything through, it's not a problem. I don't think we have any questions. Come on, surely there's something. No? Well, don't worry, I'll be hanging around after the Hangout for a while. So if there's anything at all that you want me to chat through or answer any questions on, I'm more than happy to do that. So yeah, please do get in touch. But thank you so much for joining us today. It's been lovely taking you through this deck and preparing you for your exam. As I said, please don't worry, everything's going to be absolutely fine. You've got all the resources that you need. Have a good read through everything, make sure that you understand it, but beyond that, you'll be 100%. And I wish you all the very, very best of luck. Please let us all know how you've done. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. Cheers. Take care.